Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. Comments from the peanut gallery.
Adrenaline rush.
Who said that?
I said.
Oh, what did you say? I'm sorry.
The boxing, just watching it was pure adrenaline rush.
Well, I didn't think so myself, but we're coming from two places in life. It was obvious one of the boxers was angry. I happen to know why he was angry, so I have more information than anybody else in the room other than him. Remember I told you, you better find something, whether me shitting my pants and then beating me in school and was a causal factor for how I am today, or was a causal factor because I tried to kill my teacher shortly thereafter. I'm pretty sure that was a causal factor of me trying to kill my teacher. I'm pretty squared away about that because I was fucking angry. I'm still angry when I think about it. But was it beyond that when it drove me to do superhuman shit, you know? I don't know. But I said, before you leave here, you better find something that you can point at. And in this particular case, for the Christian, I know why he's angry, and he lets it out. But that's the kind of aggression you need to withstand. I did it for 10 years, you know, against the odds. In 3 years, you can be rich. In 5 years, you can be a billionaire with this deal. It's 5 to 7 years. But to stay focused, aggressively focused, with your alpha characteristics, because you're not so much a real alpha, it's hard. It's hard. 2/3 of the Fortune 500 CEOs in the world, or not the global 500 CEOs in the world, have one thing in common. They have martial arts background. 2/3 of those 2/3 have something in common, military backgrounds. So, you got to be mad at something. I mean, comment.
How many minutes was that? One round?
What?
How many minutes was one round?
6. It was 1 minute. 1 minute. Now we've had, not in this group, but in previous groups we had you guys. They went 5-minute rounds. They've obviously never fought a 5-minute round, let alone 5-minute rounds. We've had the YouTubers say they want to fight to the death. I couldn't get a permit for that. I didn't even try to get a permit for that. But I mean, and I'm bringing those examples up because when you get out there, people are going to poke fun, humiliate, say sarcastic things about what you're trying to do. Some of which, as you gain success because of jealousy. Some of which just because people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But those are the same people that you've listened to all your life. I.e. your father, your mother, your brothers, your sisters, and your mates. Okay. When we had an Olympian here in the 90s, his goal since he's 10 years old was to be an Olympian. Well, he was an Olympian, and he went to the 72 Olympics or whatever the fuck it was, but he didn't win a medal. He was an Olympian. We've had other people that wanted a medal, just medal at the Olympics. They got a bronze medal. We've only had one guy, I'm going for gold. So when they say, I want to be a billionaire, they normally don't understand what it takes at the end of the day to accumulate that wealth. When I said I wanted to create 1 million millionaires and $1 trillion in equity, I had a pretty good idea because I just made $500 million fairly easily. So I figured I just did the equations. I didn't do a spreadsheet. But most people don't understand. So most people won't understand your devotion. Today, there's 3 or 4 of you that look like you had taken some boxing lessons. 2 or 3 of you look like it was the first time you'd ever put gloves on. Okay, that's more or less norm. But I've never met Mike Tyson, although I was at the fight that he won the championship at. And I was sitting in the second row, and the perspiration off the head of the guy that he beat up was flying into the first 3 rows like BBs hitting you in the face. Perspiration leaving the guy's head that was landing on us. And the row behind us was De Niro and a bunch of actors. And they were complaining because they were getting wet. But I mean, he was punching with that kind of velocity. If you're going to take martial arts, the one that I like the best is boxing because or if it's full contact karate or full contact, not bullshitting around. But nothing you're going to do in the program equates to taking a punch in the face. That almost everybody got punched in the face. Nothing. Not even remotely close. Some of the best boxers we've had here are women. A couple, 2 or 3 years ago, we had a little Vietnamese girl who weighed about 70 pounds, and we had a little Vietnamese guy who weighed about 80 pounds. And so we paired them up. And I told the Vietnamese guy to take it easy on her. But in about 10 seconds, she knocked him down twice. So then he turns to me, and then he beat the shit out of her. It's a terrific exercise. It's a terrific exercise. We're going to leave it at 2 1-minute rounds with a half a minute in between. If I was 10 years younger, I'd say that we're going to move to 3-minute rounds, but I'm not. So this gets the point across. But in your own eyes, you can see the difference between the aggression the Christian put out and everybody else. Did anybody miss that? The aggression you don't have. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the experience of the boxing.
Good.
It's I'm very grateful for you. I've never been in such a fight before, and it's the aggression from Christian. Also, thank you to you because it was like a wall which hit me like a train, and it's not no excuse if you are angry or not. It doesn't make a difference at the end. You knocked me out, and it's on me how to develop into it and bringing it to QLA. It's the same.
Well, see,
right?
I fight like he does, but see, I would have got him in a clinch the best I could, and I would have bit him in the jugular vein and killed him. There's a difference. And we'd be calling 911. Now, my staff cleaned all the blood off the fucking thing, which I don't like. The blood of my flock is on that fucking, that's the second ring. We used to have a bigger ring, a full-size ring. It was up off the ground, etc., just like, the guys boxing. But I mean, the guys that were in there won't forget it. Won't forget, and I had an idea who I thought was going to be aggressive, and I was right because of his background. But that's what you got to come out smoking. We're going to give you a sheet that says what you should do in the first 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, blah, blah, blah. Okay. If you fall behind, you can catch up. It's the model to do a deal as quickly as humanly possible, based on all the data we've got for 30 years. 30 years. And you don't have time for picnics, as Peter said. You don't have time to, it's a shitty thing to say. Well, I miss my daughter's 16th debutante ball or whatever they have when they're 16. I miss that. But you won't believe how you don't have time. You barely have time to take a shower, take a shit and brush your teeth. And, when you're at it, when you're really at it. And some of you saw the Super Bowl. And the professional football teams during the playoffs, because there's going to be no other game. There's not another Sunday unless you win. And it seems like they can almost score at will. They've got a 2-minute drill. They can score at will. And they've got these, and they practice that because they don't have to worry about being hurt, because there is, whether they're hurt or not, doesn't matter, because there's got to be another game unless they win. If you played, as I did, it was like your last Super Bowl or your last World Cup, the last 2 minutes, and you're never going to have another game. Day after day after day, month after month, year after year, you'll be a gazillionaire. Now, the only hurt that you have to worry about is your mental health. And I can't help you there. Now people get 6 months off for nothing. 78% of the military that get out in America have mental health problems. They get 3/4 pensions. Some get 100% pension. And in my judgment, thank you for their service, but they're not really hurt. The real guys that have mental health, a lot of them don't even apply for it. But that's the only health I can't help you with. But I know that success is the best medicine. And the best revenge is success, to show everybody else that you could do it. And you didn't lose your mind to go out there and try it. But as you've heard, if you're just going to try this, you're going to lose. You have to do affirmations, visualization, and goals, which we'll talk about in a couple of days. You have to see yourself. That famous painting of me up there with my dog that's above the red frame painting, I saw myself looking like that way before I had any money. I bought my first Rolls Royce when I was 25 that I couldn't afford. I still remember it was $37,000 in 1972. I paid $3,000 down, and I paid $675 a month, which was huge for a car payment and a down payment in 1972. Fucking huge. Because remember that sales manager I had? You should be able to close everybody who walks through the door. I had a 94.6. And all the big hitters drove fancy cars. They all transferred. So I bought a fancier car. I bought a Rolls. Nobody drove a Rolls. It was in sales. I had no backup plan. I didn't have any money to pay the next month's rent or a monthly lease payment. But I've always done that. I've always tried to prove myself. Again, was it because I shit my pants when they beat me in school? Was it because my dad was a world-class athlete and I couldn't, he throw me a ball, I couldn't catch it? I don't know. It was a combination of those things, I'm sure. And the rest is history. And when you have a modus operandi that's based on success, I told, maybe the first night I told some of you having drinks, I can't remember the last time I failed. I can't. Sally will remind me, well, remember 11 years ago, that's what wives are for, I guess. But I can't remember. Athletics, I've never succeeded at anything, although I'm a pretty good fighter, because I'm not afraid to get hurt, and it only hurts for a while. Unless you get knocked out, and then you don't know anyway. Then you wake up and fuck. I tell this, it's not a story. I've only been knocked out 3 times in my life. Twice on the same night by my best friend. He left me in the parking lot on the corner of Reseda and Ventura Boulevard in the Valley. He left me in the parking lot. He put, how the cement things that you park your car up against, the little rails. He put my head on the rail, he crossed my arms, and they went into the bar to drink. And I woke up, I'm out. Grease all over my back because of grease from the pavement tarmac. I got up and went in the bar, and I jumped on his back. And so we fought in the bar, and knocked me out again. They put me back in the pavement outside, and this time they stripped me of all my clothes. And they hung the clothes behind the bar with staple guns. Police show up. I'm out there with my underwear on, and the cop said, not like it nice in the movie. Somebody apparently kicked me in the ribs to wake me up. How you doing, kid? I guess you lost. We want to find the guy that won. And then I got knocked out in Glasgow about 40 years ago by 3 girls that hit me with a brick. I almost died that night. But you got to have aggression. And if you don't have the aggression, somebody on the fucking board, I keep saying it, somebody on that fucking board of you better be an aggressive son of a bitch. You heard Peter now, who's a mouse. He was fortunate enough to get his world-class chairman. Outside, and I'm not bragging that your mother had you, but outside you being born, the most important day in your life is the day you get your chairman. Not your wife, not your kids, none of that shit. Is the day you get your chairman. And there's some aggressive women, so it's not just chairman and chairwoman or chairperson or whatever the fuck they call them. But guys, you got to have somebody or they're going to eat you alive. They're going to chop you up for hors d'oeuvres, canapes. And that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. Now, Simon Voss is the aggressive person on his board. His chairman, he's not a wallflower, but I mean, he's not as aggressive as Simon. But so it turned out like if I planned it, to show somebody who was really aggressive. And the difference, what it looks like. That's exactly the same metaphor, analogy, whatever word you want to use, comparison to when you get out there the first days. The pig fucker, who is also a great fighter, the pig fucker, I don't think anybody in the room liked him. I don't think anybody in the room wanted to be like him, which is a normal reaction I get. But you can't argue with his success. Some people in the years, we've had that about a year and a half, some people have been so turned off by the pig fucker that they don't want to do QLA. If that's what it takes to be successful with this program, I'll pass. God bless you. You know? But if you like the pig fucker, you're going to make oodles of money. You may not be an alderman or the head of your church choir or shit like that, but you're going to make oodles of money. This program is to create generational wealth. The program set up for 30 months. That it would take 20 to 25 years to earn or create in a normal lifestyle. So about, 8 times faster or 10 times faster. But, it gets back down to like Pat Mahomes, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. We wanted it more. So the question is, how bad do you want it? Any questions or comments? Yes, sir, in the back.
Yeah, so in the last fight, as an example, if that would be like fight number 5 with Christian and our Austrian friend, probably, our Austrian friend already knew that he was going to lose. So if that would be a business case, what do you do? If you already know up front, okay, there's
well,
zero
in the beginning,
chance,
you don't get involved. In the beginning, time's money, you don't get involved in those kind of deals. Like when Mike Tyson, for those of you that are old enough, when Mike was, Iron Mike, he was 19, 20, 21, 22, and he was knocking everybody out in the first 2 or 3 rounds. He scared people. And the fight that he won the championship that I was at, I mean, the guy, he looked fearful when he got in the ring, and so it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Tyson kicked the shit out of him. But in the beginning, you can pick and choose who you go after. Now, most of the deals that you're going to pass on in the beginning, they're just too much hassle. Not that you're going to lose. You remember Simon Voss said that when you do the bigger deals, they've got all kinds of shit. They want to check everything. They've got advisors. And that's the truth. The bigger the deal, the more advisors. But see, those sellers or that seller that he alluded to wasn't motivated. Although, remember, he said he did the takeaway. Remember? Fuck you, we're not going to do it. 2 weeks later, but you're not going to do the takeaway. Why aren't you going to do it? Because maybe I'm really walking away from the best deal of my life, and it's not going to come back. And so what I tell him, and I email him, I says, go back after 2 or 3 weeks and say, you can always see the thing that you haven't, and we haven't gotten to in the seminar yet, you can always blame the board. Some of you blame your wife to your mates for being a cunt. You blame your wife. Okay, my wife won't let me do this. Okay, but you can always go back and say, my board, we had another meeting, and my board says we can do it based on this, this, and this, and this. And as he said, the deal closed. He also said, when he was asked what was the toughest thing he's ever done, and he said emotionally, that deal. Because that deal really transformed him from a little guy to a medium-sized guy. And it was a good deal, and he was able to buy it right. But you got to be able to have the emotional fortitude to be able to step away. And once you get used to it, I'm not sure used to it is the right terminology, but once you get familiar, you get comfortable being uncomfortable. I said the first day, I believe, my job is to get you to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. And I put this on YouTube anyway. During the Cassius Clay fight, it was Cassius Clay, and he supposedly knocked out Sonny Liston to win the championship, if you remember that. I went to that fight also. It was being played at a drive-in Van Nuys. There's 2,000 or 3,000 cars, and you stack in the cars with your mates, and you're drinking it all fucked up. And on the way out, and I never saw the punch. I was this far from the screen, and it was a magic punch, but I never fucking saw it. Nobody in my car saw it. So as we're all pulling out drunk and screaming and everything, we're going to go try to hustle some girls. A car scraped my fender. And so I jump out of my car and blah, 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 blah. And we chased them from the Van Nuys Drive-In Theater, which is on the corner of Van Nuys Boulevard and Sherman Way, to the Hollywood Hills signs. You know the sign you see in Hollywood Hills? Chased them, which is about 20, 25 miles. Screaming and yelling and, and throwing beer bottles at him when we got close enough. And then his car got stuck on a rock, and he couldn't get away. So now I'm with 4 guys. I'm the only one that jumps out of the car. Their entire car piles out. And the guy that was driving was about 50 pounds bigger than him, than Christian. And so this guy's going to rip my fucking head off. And so I ran up and I hit him. And as Allah would have it, he twisted his ankle and fell down the cliff there and dislocated his shoulder. It was down to here. And so now he's coming up like this. Now, I'm ready now. I'm Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray wasn't even there. And then he says to me, sir, call me sir, I was going to say I was sorry for scraping my car. Now, that's the lowest I've ever felt. But I shook it off, and now I'm back to Sugar Ray Leonard. So fast forward 5 months, football season. I'm at a USC-Alabama football game. USC is winning 3-0. It's the third quarter. And I'm telling these girls I'm trying to get in their panties, and they're sucking on the tits in a football game, drunk on my ass. And I'm telling the same story, and then a guy put his hand on my shoulder. It was about this big hand. And I look up, and it's him with his arm in a cast. I figured, well, I can still rip on his cast and rip him down the hill. And he said, did you tell him I was going to tell you I was sorry? I haven't got to that part of the story. I normally leave that part of the story out. But he said I should be down there playing right tackle. He was an All-American football player. So even guys, well, I'd bite him in the jugular and he'd be dead. So when we get in a fight, just remember, don't let my head get to your neck. See, because when I was raised, you fight to the death. You don't fight just till somebody falls down. But it's a great experience. It's a great learning experience. But you got to want it. Now, I do not suggest or recommend that you have to go through the shit that he's gone through for him to be so angry. But I said yesterday, you got to pick something. Is it the shit rolling down my thing? I don't know. I don't want to give a fuck. But you got to pick something that you can, I don't know if the right word is hate. You know, some of the football rivalries in America, some of the basketball rivalries in America, some of the football, different kind of football, here in Europe. I mean, they hate each other for a reason. That's part of the generation of enthusiasm to play the game. Now, my first mother-in-law, when I got into long distance running, every time my right foot hit the ground, I was stepping on her face. That was my motivation. First marathon I ever ran was 3 hours. Not bad. For a 225-pound guy, world record. And I knew that old fucking cow was going to live. She died at 101. And made lives miserable. You got to pick something. When I was at Doris Place, the high school I tried to kill my teacher at, I was asked by the principal, "Did you hate him?" No. He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Didn't hate him. Any other comments about boxing or the program or anything? Okay, YouTube.